The forgotten colony emergency landing. The colony ship, New Horizon, shuddered as it tore through the atmosphere of Kepler 442b. Commander. Elena Vasquez gripped her command chair as alarms blared throughout the bridge. 200 years of interstellar travel had finally ended, but not the way anyone had planned. Hull breach in sections 4 through 7, reported Lieutenant Sarah Morrison, her voice steady despite the chaos. We're losing altitude fast. Elena's weathered face remained calm. At 63, she had spent most of her adult life on this ship, watching over the sleeping colonists in their cryopods. The responsibility of 847 lives weighed heavily on her shoulders, but she had never wavered in her duty. Dr. Chen, what's our passenger status? She called out over the roar of failing engines. Cryobase systems are stable, replied Dr. Marcus Chen from his station. But we need to wake everyone soon. The pods won't survive a hard landing. Alina nodded grimly. They had minutes, maybe less. The planet's surface rushed up to meet them through the viewports. A world of purple skies and crystalline formations that should have been beautiful under different circumstances. All hands, prepare for emergency landing, Alina announced. Begin revival procedures immediately. The New Horizon crashed into the planet's surface with a thunderous roar that echoed across the alien landscape. Emergency lights flickered as the ship carved a deep furrow through the rocky terrain before finally coming to rest against a cluster of strange, tower-like rock formations. The awakening 3 days later, the last of the colonists had been successfully revived. Alina stood before the gathered survivors in the ship's main cargo bay, which had become their temporary assembly hall. Families huddled together, children clung to parents, and everyone looked to her for answers. We're alive, she began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. The New Horizon brought us home, just not the home we expected. Engineer Jake Thompson, a burly man with grease-stained hands, stepped forward. Commander, what's our situation? Can we repair the ship? Alina shook her head. The engines are completely destroyed. The hull is cracked beyond repair. This ship will never fly again. She paused, letting that sink in. But we're not giving up. We're going to build something better here. Over the following weeks, the colonists worked with remarkable determination. They salvaged what they could from the New Horizon, setting up temporary shelters and establishing what they called Haven's Rest. The planet's atmosphere was breathable, the water was clean, and the soil showed promise for agriculture. Dr. Chen made the first major discovery during a routine survey mission. Alina, you need to see this, he called over the com, his voice tight with excitement and concern. Alina found him standing before a massive structure that rose from the planet's surface like a metallic mountain. The building was clearly alien in origin, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. It's some kind of ancient facility, Dr. Chen explained, running his scanner over the strange metal. The technology is incredibly advanced, but it's been dormant for centuries, maybe millennia. Alina approached the structure cautiously. As she drew near, sections of the wall began to glow with soft blue light. It's responding to our presence, she murmured. The Watchers, what the humans didn't know was that they were being observed. High above the planet's surface, cloaked ships drifted in silent orbit. Inside the flagship, Admiral Kethma of the Zephyrian Empire studied the newcomers with growing interest. The Zephyrians were an ancient race, tall and elegant, with skin that shimmered like starlight and eyes that held the wisdom of ages. They had been the guardians of this sector of space for over 10,000 years, and they did not welcome intruders. "These creatures are primitive," said Sub-Commander Velta, his voice carrying the musical quality typical of their species. "They crash-landed here by accident. Surely they pose no threat." Admiral Kethma's expression remained thoughtful. "Do not underestimate them, Velta. I have studied their history. These humans are unpredictable. They have a capacity for both great compassion and terrible violence, and they adapt quickly to new situations." On the planet's surface, more discoveries were being made. Jake Thompson had found a way to interface human technology with the alien systems. The ancient facility began to power up, its systems responding to human commands despite being built by a completely different species. "It's like the technology wants to be used," Jake explained to Alina as they watched holographic displays spring to life around them. "The systems are intuitive, almost organic in their responses." Dr. Chen was fascinated by the biological scans he was conducting. The previous inhabitants were humanoid, but much taller than us. They had a highly advanced civilization, but something caused them to abandon this facility. Alina studied the alien writings that covered the walls. Though she couldn't read them, she sensed they told a story of great importance. "Keep working on the translation. We need to understand what happened here." First contact of answer came sooner than expected. On a quiet morning, as the colonists went about their daily tasks, strange objects appeared in the sky. Small, dart-like craft descended from the clouds, moving with impossible grace and speed. "Unknown contacts approaching from the north," reported Morrison from the makeshift command center they had established. "They're not responding to our hails." Alina grabbed her binoculars and watched as the alien craft circled their settlement. They made no aggressive moves, but their intent was clear. They were studying the humans, just as the humans had been studying the ancient facility. "All personnel remain calm," Alina announced. "Continue with your duties, but stay alert. We may be about to make first contact." The alien scouts observed for several hours before retreating to the upper atmosphere. That evening, as the colonists gathered for their communal meal, Dr. Chen burst into the assembly area with a translation device he had cobbled together from alien technology. "I've made a breakthrough," he announced breathlessly. "The facility's computer system has been trying to communicate with us. It's been learning our language from our conversations." Alina activated the device, and immediately a melodious voice filled the air. "Greetings, children of distant stars. You have awakened the guardians. They come to judge your worthiness." The message was clear, but its implications were terrifying. The colonists weren't just refugees on an empty world. They had stumbled into something much larger and more dangerous than they had imagined. The ultimatum the next morning brought visitors. A single craft landed outside Haven's Rest, and from it emerged three figures that were both alien and magnificent. The Zephyrians moved with fluid grace, their forms tall and elegant, their presence commanding respect. Admiral Kethma approached Alina, who had come out to meet them. When he spoke, his voice was like music, but his words carried the weight of authority. "I am Admiral Kethma of the Zephyrian Empire. You have trespassed on sacred ground and awakened systems that have slept for millennia. You must leave this place immediately." Alina stepped forward, her chin raised in defiance. "I am Commander Alina Vasquez of the colony ship New Horizon. We are refugees, not conquerors. Our ship was damaged, and we cannot leave." Kethma's expression remained unchanged. "Then you will be removed by force. You have 7 of your solar rotations to gather your belongings and depart. If you remain, you will be destroyed. And how exactly do you propose we leave? Alina asked, her voice steady. Despite the threat, our ship is destroyed. We have no way to reach space, let alone travel to another world. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. That is not our concern. You should not have come here. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his translation device in hand. Admiral, we've been studying the facility. We believe the previous inhabitants were destroyed by some kind of catastrophe. We want to help prevent that from happening again. Kethma turned his attention to the scientist. The architects left this place as a warning. You have ignored that warning by your very presence. Some knowledge is too dangerous to be shared. Alina felt a cold anger rising within her. You're condemning 847 innocent people to death because of your fear. We've done nothing wrong. Your species is unpredictable, Kethma replied. You adapt too quickly, learn too fast, and spread too far. The galaxy is safer without your kind. With that, the Zephyrians departed, leaving the colonists to contemplate their fate. Alina called an emergency meeting of the senior staff that evening. We have a choice, she told them. We can try to build some kind of evacuation system in 7 days, which is impossible, or we can stay and fight. Jake Thompson laughed bitterly. Fight? With what? We've got some salvaged weapons and a bunch of farmers and engineers. They have spaceships and technology we can barely comprehend. We have something they don't, Alina said quietly. We have nothing left to lose. Preparation for war. The next 7 days were a blur of activity. Under Elena's leadership, the colonists transformed from refugees into a fighting force. They used the alien facilities systems to create defensive barriers and weapon emplacements. Jake Thompson worked around the clock to integrate human and alien technology, creating hybrid systems that neither species had ever seen before. Dr. Chen made another crucial discovery. The facility isn't just a research station, he told Elena. It's a weapon. The architects built it to defend against something they called the but they never got the chance to use it. Elena studied the alien weapon systems. Can we operate it? I think so, Chen replied. The facility seems to respond to intelligence and determination rather than specific biological markers. It's almost like it's been waiting for someone worthy to claim it. Lieutenant Morrison coordinated the evacuation of non-combatants to the deeper levels of the facility. We've got secure shelters for the families and elderly, she reported. But Alina, we're talking about maybe 100 people who can actually fight. They'll have thousands. Alina nodded grimly. Then we'd better make sure every shot counts. On the final day, as the deadline approached, Admiral Kethma's fleet appeared in the sky. Hundreds of ships blotted out the sun, their weapons charging with ominous energy. Alina stood in the facility's command center, surrounded by her people. They looked to her for leadership, for hope, for a miracle. She activated the communication system and broadcast her response to the Zephyrian fleet. Admiral Kethma, this is Commander Alina Vasquez. We received your ultimatum, and we have an answer for you. She paused, looking at the faces around her. We're not leaving. This is our home now, and we'll defend it with everything we have. If you want this planet, you'll have to take it from us. The response came quickly. Then you have chosen death, Commander. May your gods have mercy on your souls. Alina smiled grimly as she looked up at the enemy fleet. Jake, power up the facility's defensive systems. Morrison, get our people to their positions. Dr. Chen, activate the weapon. As the alien facility came to life around them, humming with power that had been dormant for millennia, Alina felt a strange sense of calm. They were about to face impossible odds, but they were facing them together. "All stations, this is Commander Vasquez," she announced. "Today we show them what humans are made of. Today we prove that we belong among the stars." The battle for Haven's Rest was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Armada descends. The Zephyrian fleet moved with the precision of a cosmic ballet. 200 warships arranged themselves in perfect formation above Haven's Rest, their hulls gleaming like silver tears against the purple sky. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, elegant and deadly, capable of reducing entire cities to ash with a single volley. Admiral Kethma stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, watching the primitive settlement below. The humans had built their defenses around the ancient facility, creating a fortress that would have been impressive by their standards. But against the might of the Zephyrian Empire, it was nothing more than a children's toy. Admiral Sub-Commander Veltar reported, "All ships are in position. The humans show no signs of evacuation. They appear to be ... waiting." Kethma's expression remained impassive. In his 4 centuries of life, he had seen many species face extinction. Some begged, others fled, a few fought desperately. But there was something different about these humans. They had not broadcast pleas for mercy or attempted to negotiate. They simply waited, like predators preparing to strike. "Begin with a demonstration," he ordered. "Target one of their outer structures. Perhaps they will reconsider when they see our power." The lead destroyer, Wind's Edge, fired a single plasma bolt. The energy beam lanced down from space, striking a storage facility at the edge of the human settlement. The building vaporized instantly, leaving only a crater of fused glass. On the planet's surface, Alina felt the ground shake from the impact. Around her, the facility's command center hummed with alien energy. Holographic displays showed the positions of every enemy ship, their weapon signatures, their shield configurations. The ancient technology was feeding them information that no human had ever possessed. "They're trying to scare us," Morrison observed, her voice steady despite the circumstances. That was a warning shot. Alina nodded. "Then let's give them something to think about." She turned to Jake Thompson, who stood at the primary weapon console. "Jake, are you ready?" The engineer's hands moved across the alien controls with surprising confidence. "The facility's main cannon is charged and ready. But Alina, I have to warn you. This thing packs enough punch to crack a moon. I'm not sure what it'll do to their ships." "Only one way to find out," Alina replied. "Fire, the first. Strike the ancient facility's weapon system, activated with a sound like thunder, deep beneath the planet's surface. Massive capacitors discharged their stored energy through crystalline conduits that had been waiting millennia for this moment. The weapon itself was invisible to the naked eye, but its effects were devastating. The Zephyrian destroyer Wind's Edge simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. The weapon had somehow bypassed the ship's shields entirely, tearing apart its molecular structure at the quantum level. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Kethma stared in shock at the empty space where one of his ships had been. His tactical officer's voice was barely a whisper. "Sir, the Wind's Edge is gone, completely destroyed. We detected no conventional weapon signature. It's as if space itself turned against them." Kethma's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No primitive." species could operate architect technology. It requires a level of consciousness that takes millions of years to develop. But even as he spoke, another shot lanced out from the planet's surface. This time, the humans targeted the cruiser Starlight's Glory. The massive ship's shields flared and died as the quantum weapon tore through them like paper. The vessel broke apart in a cascade of explosions, its crew of 800 dying in seconds. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Kethma commanded. Begin bombardment of the facility. Reduce it to atoms. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything. They had thousands of energy beams rained down on the alien facility, turning the air itself into plasma. The ancient structure's shields activated automatically, creating a dome of shimmering energy that absorbed the incoming fire. But the humans weren't content to simply hide behind their defenses. Alina had studied the facility's schematics, and she knew it held more secrets than just the main weapon. "Dr. Chen, what about those smaller systems you found?" she asked. The scientist's face lit up with understanding. "The defense drones, they're still in storage, but they should be functional." "How many?" "Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. They're small, but they're fast, and they're armed with the same quantum technology as the main cannon." Alina smiled grimly. "Launch them all." The launch bays of the ancient facility opened like flowers blooming in fast-forward. Streams of small, dart-like craft poured out of the underground hangars, rising through the atmosphere like a living constellation. Each drone was no larger than a human fighter, but they moved with inhuman precision and grace. The Zephyrian fleet found themselves surrounded by a swarm of ancient warriors. The drones attacked in perfect coordination, their quantum weapons punching through shields and hulls with terrifying efficiency. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were reduced to scrap metal by technology that predated their entire civilization. "This is impossible," Sub-Commander Veltar shouted over the sounds of battle. "The architects have been extinct for over 1,000,000 years." Admiral Kethma watched his fleet being systematically destroyed by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive. "No," he said quietly. "The architects aren't extinct. They're down there, wearing human faces." On the planet's surface, Alina coordinated the battle with calm efficiency. The facility's systems responded to her commands as if she had been born to use them. She could feel the rhythm of the battle, the ebb and flow of attack and defense. "Morrison, take a team to the North Tower. I want those support systems online. Jake, how are we doing on power?" "The fusion reactor is running at 90%, Jake reported, "but the quantum cannons are draining it fast. We might have 20 minutes of sustained fire before we need to recharge." Alina nodded. "Then we make those 20 minutes count." But the Zephyrians weren't finished. Admiral Kethma ordered his remaining ships to form a tight formation, their combined shields creating a protective barrier. Then they began to charge their most powerful weapon. "Planet Killer Protocol authorized," Kethma announced. "If we cannot have this world, then neither can they." The combined fleet began to glow with accumulated energy. They were preparing to crack the planet's crust, to turn the entire world into a molten ball of rock. It was a desperate measure, but Kethma had seen too much to allow the humans to keep their prize. The cavalry arrives, that's when the new contacts appeared on the sensors. Ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, their energy signatures unmistakably human. Alina felt her heart skip a beat as she recognized the lead vessel. "This is Captain Alex Rivera of the UES Defiant," came the voiceover. Commander Vasquez. We got your distress signal. Sorry, we're late to the party. Alina laughed, despite herself. Alex, you beautiful bastard. What took you so long? Traffic was murder. We brought some friends, though. The human rescue fleet was smaller than the Zephyrian armada, but they had advantages the aliens couldn't match. They were fighting for their own people, and they had learned from the colonists' discoveries. Dr. Chen had managed to transmit technical data about the quantum weapons before the battle began. The human ships attacked the Zephyrian formation with tactics that defied conventional space warfare. They used the planet's gravity well to slingshot around the enemy, firing quantum torpedoes that the colonists had helped them build. The Zephyrians, committed to their planet-killer bombardment, couldn't break formation to defend themselves effectively. Admiral Veltar reported, "We're taking heavy casualties. The human fleet is using unknown technology. Our shields are ineffective against their weapons." Kethma watched his carefully ordered formation crumble under the human assault. These weren't the primitive refugees he had expected to crush. They were warriors, innovators, survivors who had turned his own technology against him. "Enough," he said quietly. "All ships, cease fire. Open a channel to the human commander." The price of respect, the battle ended as suddenly as it had begun. The surviving Zephyrian ships hung in space, their weapons powered down, their shields lowered. It was a gesture of surrender that had never been seen in the long history of their empire. Alina stood in the facility's command center, still hardly believing what had happened. Around her, the colonists were cheering, embracing, crying with relief. They had done the impossible. They had not only survived, but triumphed. Admiral Kethma's image appeared on the main screen. The proud alien leader looked older somehow, humbled by the experience. When he spoke, his voice carried a respect that hadn't been there before. "Commander Baskus, I offer the formal surrender of the Zephyrian fleet. You have proven that your species deserves to stand among the stars." Alina studied the alien admiral. "We never wanted to be your enemies, Admiral. We just wanted to survive." "I underestimated you," Kethma admitted. "I saw only your youth and your apparent primitiveness. I failed to see your strength, your adaptability, your willingness to fight for what you believe in. These are qualities that the galaxy needs." Captain Rivera's voice came over the comm. "Alina, we're prepared to evacuate the colonists if you want. We have enough ships to take everyone to a safer world." Alina looked around at the facility, at the technology they had mastered, at the home they had built from nothing. "Thank you, Alex, but we're staying. This is our home now." She turned back to Admiral Kethma. "We'd like to propose a different arrangement. We'll share what we've learned about the architect technology, and you can help us understand our place in the galaxy. We're not looking for conquest. We're looking for cooperation." The Admiral considered this for a long moment. "The architects left their technology as a test," he said finally. "A way to judge if younger species were ready to inherit their legacy. In 4 million years, no one has passed that test, until now." New beginnings. 6 months later, Haven's Rest had grown from a refugee camp into a thriving city. The colonists worked alongside Zephyrian scientists and engineers, unlocking the secrets of the ancient facility. Trade ships arrived weekly, bringing supplies and new settlers who wanted to be part of humanity's first interstellar colony. Alina stood on the observation deck of the facility's main tower, watching the sunset paint the alien sky in shades of gold and crimson. The city below hummed with activity, a testament to what could be achieved when different species worked together. Dr. Chen joined her, a stack of research reports in his hands. "The Zephyrians have confirmed it," he said. This facility is one of 12 in the galaxy. The architects built them as a network, a way to defend against threats that could destroy entire star systems. And now we're the Guardians, Alina mused. Strange how things work out. The Zephyrians want to formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Council, Chen continued. They say we've proven ourselves worthy of membership. Alina smiled. Tell them we accept, but we do it as equals, not as junior partners. Captain Rivera peered at her shoulder. Alina, I've got orders to establish a permanent fleet base here. Humanity's first deep space naval station. They're calling it Haven Station. Appropriate, Alina replied. This place has been a haven for more than just us. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Alina reflected on the journey that had brought them here. They had started as refugees, had become warriors, and had ended as diplomats. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but humanity had proven that they belonged among the stars. The ancient facility hummed around them, its systems keeping watch over the growing city. The architects had built it as a test, but also as a gift, a way for younger species to prove themselves worthy of the cosmos. And humanity had passed that test, not through conquest or domination, but through courage, determination, and the willingness to fight for what they believed in. They had shown the galaxy that humans were more than just another species struggling to survive. They were a force for cooperation, innovation, and hope. The stars shone down on Haven's Rest, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy seemed a little brighter, a little more hopeful. The humans had arrived, and they were here to stay.